Well, here we go. 20 races complete. We're now at race 21, the Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos, the end of an era, and can Franco Lopez hold on to the title for a second season in a row, or will Amar Khan take it away from him? And of course, like many OC seasons, or most OC seasons, the title race has gone to the final round after, of course, Franco Lopez suffered a mechanical failure at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Now, lap record set here by Jay McKenzie in 2017 to 108.345, 71 laps, a circuit length of 4.39 kilometers, 15 corners. Of course, we've had many notable races here in the past, and so we're set to have another one yet again. Of course, Nicholas Gauer, who put up a valiant fight throughout the season, unfortunately now out of the title fight, so it is once again just the two Mercedes going for the title. Previous 5 winners here have included Florian Volk 2015, Jay McKenzie 2016, Joseph Wills 2017, Amar Khan 2018, Franco Lopez winning here last season 2019, so can he win here again in 2020? The tyres I'll be using for this race will be the medium tyres, and we're going to take a look at the practice results, which was George Roque actually interestingly in the Racing Point top by 3/10, although it was a wet practice session. So the rest of the order is on your screen right now. That was practice, however. Now this is the starting grid for the final race of the 2020 GP4 OC season and the end of an era. And it is Amar Khan who took pole position, so it's a good start for him so far, ahead of Franco Gamba alongside him, just a 10th in it between those two. Franco Lopez, however, only just behind on the second row in 3rd place, with George Roque 4th in the Racing Point. On row 3 of the grid, we have the two Hungarians of Nicholas Gauer for Red Bull, who of course will be going to AlphaTauri for next season, Avarola Moichin for Racing Point in 6th, Laura Chung 7th, who will be moving to Lamborghini next season, and Chris Chatfield 8th for AlphaTauri, who will be moving to Ferrari of course next season. Row 5 of the grid, we have Evan Byrne for Renault and Kirosa de Rosa 10th for McLaren. On row 6 of the grid, we have Jake Galloway for Renault and David Kupok for AlphaTauri, exactly the same time as well, same qualifying. On row 7, we have Joseph Wills 13th for McLaren and Gabriel Gomez 14th for Alfa Romeo, not best qualifying from Willows, you have to say. On row 8, we have Roberto Gamba for Ferrari and Andrea Federi 16th for Alfa Romeo. On the 9th row of the grid, we have the Williams of Jamie Griffiths and Emilio Wilson for Manor. On row 10, we have Felix Sontag for Williams and Rosetta Martinez 20th for Manor. And then on the final row of the grid, we have Dudu Kirby and Daniel Fraser, 2 House drivers. Of course, Dudu Kirby, this will be his last race in the OC. He's retiring at the end of the season. Now, the GP4 OC news is that Daniel Fraser will remain at Haas, Julius Anson will return to the top class with Aston Martin, Jesus Perrin will be promoted from GP2 to drive for Renault, and Romain Quarg will return to the top class with Alfa Romeo. Surprisingly, no Aaron Curtis there, who everyone thought would be there. Of course, Gabriel Gomez and Rosetta Martinez have been left without a drive, and Roberto Gamba and Dudu Kirby will be retiring from the OC after this race. Now, here on your screen right now is the championship criteria. So, and I'm not going to read it to you, you can just read it on the screen, but I mean, if Lopez just wins, Lopez just simply needs to win. He needs to get the win, and then that is him sorted. But there's a few scenarios on the screen, but Carr has it all to do, really. I mean, he's so far taken one step ahead of Lopez, but it's going to be a fascinating race. It will be a dry race as well, so no rain. I know some people will be a little bit disappointed about this, but nonetheless, we are now on the grid for the Brazilian Grand Prix, the final race of the season here at Interlagos. The 5 lights are now coming on for the Brazilian Grand Prix. The 5 lights are now on, and we're about to get underway, and we are now underway. And Carr, can he get the jump into the first corner is the big question. It looks like he's got a pretty decent launch, but Lopez has got an even better start, and there's already been a massive crash at the back already. We haven't even got past the first corner, and there's already been chaos at the back. There's Emilio Wilson who is out. There's a Williams, I think, that appears to be out as well. Fraser's just getting through there, and it's Felix Sontag. So Wilson and Sontag already out. But look at this, Lopez already going for the lead, coming up towards turn 4. Lopez on the inside, and he is through up into the lead. What a start for Franco Lopez. That is exactly what he needed, and he takes the lead already. And, well, first of all, let's just have a look at the replay of what happened at the start. So this was Wilson and Felix Sontag. So I think it was Wilson, was she hit from behind? And yes, she was. She was hit from behind by Felix Sontag. And just a slight bit of contact there, and that might be the shortest race for both of them in... I don't think we've very rarely ever had cars colliding just after the start line, even before the first corner. or I say that quickly after the start. But those two are already out. But what a start again by Franco Lopez. He leads on the first lap. Amar Kar is second position, and Miklas Gau in third. I mean, that's exactly what the current driver standings are at the moment. Now, as we're looking at De Rosso's on the inside of Laura Chung, coming into the first S's, the centre S's, and as they come through, he's made it through. So we're looking at Willows, who's looked to be going around the outside there. Roberto Gamba, that is the battle for 13th position. Willows, who looks to have a fair amount of fuel. Gamba, who has not quite got as much. And Federi, meanwhile, who has got even less than both of them, almost put together. And meanwhile, there's an AlphaTauri trying to make a move on a Renault there on the inside. And Roberto Gamba now passes Willows. That is for 13th position. And now Willows under pressure from Federi behind him. So good starts there coming through the tight and twisty infield section of the circuit, but Lopez leading, and there's Gamba in fourth, there's Roke in fifth. Roke has actually not had a great start, as Chris Chatford looked to have made a little mistake there, as they were coming through the mid part of the circuit. So as we're looking at the cars coming towards the final corner, it's a long straight and one of the main overtaking spots on this circuit. Meanwhile, Evan Byrne right behind the Ferrari hero of Laura Chung, coming through the final corner. I mean, unless you count this long left hand here as a corner, but I wouldn't say so. But Evan Byrne now right behind the Ferrari of Laura Chung, and looking to make a move on the inside. Lopez stretching his advantage up front and setting the fast lap of the race as well, a 108.4. Byrne on the inside coming across the start finish line, and they're now on the inside as well. There was nearly a little bit of contact there coming in towards the first corner there. Byrne doing a slight little move there on Laura Chung, just letting her know that he's there, and that's actually given Jake Galloway a good run off the corner here. He could even pass Chung. This is for 10th. Chung not having a great start. Galloway trying to squeeze on the inside there, coming into turn 4, but it ain't happening here. And Willows still holding on, as meanwhile the two Haas drivers battling with an Alfa Romeo there. That was Kirby down the inside, and now Fraser down the inside of Gabriel Gomez, who so far is not having a good start in his, well, I say his final OC race. Of course, he'll not be getting a drive next season. Meanwhile, Rosetta Martinez, who's got, I just noticed there, an huge amount of fuel, just slightly too much, I think, at this point. I think that was like, what, 44 laps of fuel he's got? So he is certainly going to have a tough race, that is for sure. But meanwhile, Lopez stretches his lead out to Amar Kar, and the gap is about 2 seconds. And look at that, Martinez, that is just absurd, the amount of fuel that he's got in his car right now. And so we're looking at Miklas Gau, who's actually not too far away from Kar, you can say ahead of him. So we'll see if he can maybe etch up to him and make a move. If he did, then that would all but secure Lopez's title. But of course, I'm not going to say that now because we're only 4 laps in. Meanwhile, this is Galloway once again trying to make a move on the inside of Chung into the first corner. And is he through? The answer is yes. Chung tries to put up a defence, and actually, no, she gets it back actually. So good defence there from Laura Chung, and that might even allow Roberto Gamba to make a move on Galloway, because he got a good run off the corner, and whereas Galloway didn't. But no, actually can't do it, as Galloway going to try once again. And meanwhile, Willows behind, also trying to make a move there. Past the AlphaTauri, which he does actually. Passes the AlphaTauri, I think that is of David Kupok. So he moves up a position. And there's Chatfield still at the moment in the points, so Kupok having a tough race. But again, Gal looks to be getting close to Car. So Car may need to take a look in his mirrors at that Red Bull car. And yes, we might have to have some defending to do. But Kupok at the moment, who also has got a ton of fuel, and actually so has Willows, mind you, actually. Willows has got a huge amount of fuel, but he doesn't seem to be that far off the pace. He's still keeping it up, although he makes a slight mistake there, slight twitch on the wheel, and yeah, but managed to keep it on the road. But of course, Willows is going to be struggling on this fuel, and of course on those same tyres for over half the race. It's going to be at least lap 40 until he pits. So it is going to be very, very hard for him, you will have to say. Meanwhile, Roberto Gamba now going past the Renault of Jake Galloway. This is for P11, and he's through. So, unfortunately for Galloway, that's not worked out very well for him. As Federi now goes past Kupok, who even though he has less fuel than Willows, is really struggling. Now, meanwhile, this is the battle for second place. This is Gal on the inside of Car, heading up towards turn 4. Can he make it stick? And they don't. And, well, there's very little content. If they had made content, then that would have just given Lopez the title right then and there. Meanwhile, Byrne, continuing his good start, goes past Chatfield up into 8th position there. Overtakes, no surprise happening on the circuit. It's very easy to overtake. There's plenty of overtaking opportunities. There we look at Gal, who seems to really have the pace, although he does have light fuel. I don't quite know how much fuel that Car has, but at the moment, Gal has the pace on Amar Car right now, and that's good news for Lopez, because that's allowing him to get away. I've no idea how far in front he is. And it's a little bit, well, it's now up to 4 seconds because Car's having to defend from Gal. So as long as the car is defending from Gal, Lopez can easily just stretch out his advantage. They've got a good gap to Franco Gamma behind as well, so they don't need to worry about him. As now Gal trying to make a move on the inside, coming down the start-finish straight. You could just see Lopez ahead as they're coming up towards the first corner. Can Gal do it? He's on the inside. This might be the move. No, it's not. It looked to me he was on the inside, but just didn't have it on the brakes there to make it pass the Mercedes driver. Now Gal has another opportunity coming in towards turn 4. So they can see Lopez probably looking in his mirror to see these two battling and hoping that something happens. Gal on the inside once again. Can he make it through this time? No, he can't. He just hasn't quite got it on the braking. But meanwhile, Martinez still plumb last as Gomez now goes back past Daniel Fraser. As for 80 plays right at the back of the field. Meanwhile, Federi is now the later on making a move past Jake Galloway, who appears to be struggling with his car at this moment in time. Can't quite make it stick though. De Rossa, meanwhile, has actually gone past Rolomoichin for 6th position. So he's having a good start to the race as well. Meanwhile, we're on board with the Alfa Romeo as he's trying to get past Jake Galloway here. This is Federi, who's on the inside. Can he make a stick? It's all very late braking there from Federi, but has he done it? And the answer is, I think he might have the run off the cordon to get past Galloway, and I think Galloway might have to give up the position. And Federi now around the outside, but Galloway hasn't got the run, and so Federi does make it stick. So good move there for him, but Jake Galloway also struggling on heavy fuel, though Federi himself has got very light fuel, though he's not made that much progress with it, you have to say. Once again, Carl versus Gal. This is for 2nd position. Of course, Carl will finish 2nd in the Championship if Gal does finish ahead of him, so he doesn't need to necessarily worry about that. As they're coming up towards the first corner, Gal on the inside once again. Can he get on the brakes later than Carl? The answer is no, he can't. He still can't get through. But again, it's great news for Franco Lopez out front as he's just stretching his advantage over these two, as you can see. And I think that might even be a lap car. I think that might even be Martinez. So Martinez already, despite, well, he had to pit for that front wing, might have already been lapped. And now Gal is through finally on the inside, and he's now up into P2, and that is great news for Franco Lopez, the race leader. So as the car's coming through the infield section of the circuit, once again, as we're looking now at Jamie Griffiths, who is going past Jake Galloway, who really is struggling at this moment in time. And Griffiths now up into P14. As we're looking through the rest of the order, Kubok now down actually, wow, he's having a really torrid race, you have to say. And so we're looking at Joseph Willis, who again doesn't appear to actually have dropped as far down the field as you would expect him to, even though he's had a lot of fuel, about the same as what Martinez has got. But meanwhile, 9 seconds is the gap, as, oh, car just about squeezes through past Rosetta Martinez there. Now that could have gone terribly wrong, and you can see how close it was on the replay. Martinez being the definition of a mobile chicane, and car just managing to squeeze his way through on the inside. So that was good work there by car to avoid the slow manner. Now meanwhile, Miguel Escao is in the pits for his first stop of the race. Now this could be possibly a 3 stop for him. We're about to find out. So Gao in the pits, and let's see how quick this pit stop will be. And so he's going to change all 4 tyres. And how much fuel do they put in? About 24. So, yep, I'd say that is probably more than likely going to be a 3-stop strategy. And he comes out of the pits. He's going to come out in a fair amount of traffic, actually, because the gap to the rest of the field not too huge, a 6.9 second stop as well. So Gao now coming out of the pits, of course, is one of the longest pit exits, along with Abu Dhabi, although less unique, because, of course, Abu Dhabi's one goes under the circuit. So now we're looking at Gao coming out the exit of the pitch. He's going to come out in 15th position, so he's going to have a fair bit of traffic that he'll have to contend with, seeing as he's pitted this early. We're looking at Franco Gamma at the moment in very lonely P3. Roke not really gaining much on him behind, but he is going to be, looks like, on a 2-stop. And meanwhile, this is Roberto Gamma, who's actually got past Laura Chung for 9th position, and this is the replay, and this is how he did it. So a fairly simple move there. Now, meanwhile, we're looking at Miguel Escao trying to make his way through the field here. Now, going past the Haas of Dudu Kirby, and he does so. He's now up at a P14, and now he'll go after Jake Galloway in the Renault in front of him. So they're coming through the first 3 corners through the S's section, the centre S's. And meanwhile, that is Willow's trying to pass Laura Chung. So Willow's showing some good pace in that car, despite having a huge amount of fuel, enough to sink a ship, you could say, or enough for a big ship to maybe be filled. But he's actually having a solid stint, really, you have to say. But the question is, how long can that last? Because his tyres surely aren't going to be able to take it for 40 laps. But we're going to wait and see, really. Now we're looking at the Ferrari of Roberto Gamma trying to lap the manner here of Martinez, who is so woefully off the pace. It's almost like they put Rangunathan in that car. So looking now at Jamie Griffiths, who himself has had a fairly solid start as well. I say fairly slow start. It couldn't really be any much more worse than a Sontag start, unfortunately hitting Wilson and eliminating himself and Hertz after about 4 seconds. So, I mean, you got to feel for those two, really, but Griffiths again having a good race. Meanwhile, George Roke is in the pits, and so is Evan Byrne, as Griffiths now himself is moving past the McLaren of Willis. They're coming into the first corner, and he moves up into now what is ninth place because of the cars that have just gone into the pits. And they've got to look out because Miguel Escal is going to be coming through very quickly, you would think. Now this is looking through the rest of the field. We're looking at Roke who's coming out of the pits, and he's going to come out, looks like, in 15th position. He's going to come out just ahead of Daniel Fraser, which he does so. And Evan Byrne, meanwhile, is going to come out in 17th position. We're behind now. Meanwhile, this is Gal now going past Joseph Willers. This is for P10. This is the last point up for grabs, and Willers goes very wide, and Gal should make it through around the outside, now the inside, and he is up into 10th position, so good job from him there. Meanwhile, Jamie Griffiths himself now moving up into 8th position, trying to go past the Ferrari of Laura Chung here, which he does, and Jamie Griffiths really having once again another impressive performance by the Welshman, and overtaking a Ferrari, which he'll be very happy with. Meanwhile, George Roke goes past Gabriel Gomez and moves up into 14th position there. Byrne's still a little bit behind, but he'll be looking to make a move, which he's going to be doing right about now. He's now on the inside of Daniel Fraser in the Haas, and yep, he is through. So there we go, and yeah, he's up into 60th position. Very, very simply done. So now he'll have to try and go after the drivers in front of him, and he'll be on fresh tyres as well. Meanwhile, out front, Franco Lopez is just, of course, chilling. He's got a very comfortable lead, almost actually, looking at the gap, nearly a second ahead of Amar Khan. He really is, well, yeah, he really has the pace over everyone in this race, it seems. So meanwhile, we're looking at Miguel Escal, who's now right behind the Ferrari of Laura Chung. This is the battle for 9th position. Gal going to make a move on the inside. Chung not really putting up much of a defence, although he gets a little bit close coming through that pit exit. And so Gal now on the inside of the Ferrari, and he makes it up into 9th position, so that's another move. And now he'll go after the Williams in front of Jamie Griffiths. Now meanwhile, George Roke going past the Haas, or at least attempting to, of Dudu Kirby, which you can't quite do there. And so he's going to have to wait until the back straight now to make a move. It'll be in the slipstream. It should be an easy move. Now, meanwhile, Franco Lopez does come in for his first stop of the race, and so far he's had it pretty easy so far. Let's be honest, he's not really... well, he took it away at the start from Carr. He's not really ever looked back, and of course Carr had to contend with Miguel Escal battling with him, which has helped the gap quite a bit. But Lopez, definitely the quickest car on the circuit at the moment, although look at the amount of fuel they're putting into his car for this stint. That is a lot, but, well, one thing we know for sure, though, is that it's going to be a two-stop strategy, although that stop for Lopez was very slow. I think that's 9.5 seconds. That is very slow, but I suppose that was probably because of the amount of fuel that they were putting into his car. Meanwhile, De Rossa is in for his first stop as well. Lopez himself, does he come out ahead of Moichin? He definitely, I think, would like to do that, and I think he is going to. I don't think Moichin is going to be close enough as they head towards the pit exit, and Lopez is going through right now, and yep, you can see him just ahead there. I say just ahead, it looks bigger than it is, but he is ahead, so that is very well done. Lopez now in clear air, so at the moment it's looking yeah, it's just looking very good for him at this moment in time. And the key word is at this moment in time. We're only 24 laps in, so anything can happen. Meanwhile, this is George Roke who's going past Jake Gallery. This is for P10, and Roke is now through up the inside of the Renault driver, and he makes it up another position. Meanwhile, Joseph Willers, who's still going around, and still, I mean, showing good pace, really. I mean, this stint from Willers has not been too bad. Compare it to, well, Martinez and David Kupok, who are lounging at the back of the field right now. But Willers, the fact he seems still battling with the Ferraris on that heavy fuel load, I mean, just imagine what it would be like if he wasn't put on that fuel strategy. It could have been even higher. Meanwhile, Franco Gamba in the Red Bull, of course, he will be staying at Red Bull and partnering with his old teammate George Roke. They are reuniting once again for next season, as Gamba now comes into the pits for his first stop. Again, he's not had a bad race so far. He's just had a very lonely one. I mean, he's had the advantage over Roke behind him when they were still out on the circuit. Of course, Roke's pitted a lot earlier, so I wonder if maybe Roke is trying the undercut, and we'll see if Gamba can stay ahead. So he pits, and yep, he's going to be doing a two-stop strategy. So Gamba pits, will change all 4 tyres, and 7.5 seconds that stop. So as he comes out of the pits, and at the moment temporarily, Jimmy Griffiths, by the way, up into 4th position. He'll be getting almost a nosebleed from getting this high, of course. Let's not forget he got that unbelievable podium in Malaysia, probably one of the craziest OZ races that we have ever seen. And meanwhile, the two Renaults are battling. Of course, Evan Byrne is the very unlucky one to lose out on what could have been his win in Malaysia with an engine failure. And that is Gamba, who has crucially just come out ahead of George Roque there. So it has remained the same on track, but if it was another lap longer, then I think Roque may have got ahead, as Byrne Galloway once again battling, but Byrne unable to make the move stick here. And so Roque now all over the back of Franco Gamba. Of course, Gamba having just come out the pits on cold tyres. Meanwhile, Gal battling with Jamie Griffiths, although he won't be for much longer, because Jamie Griffiths is coming into the pits this lap. But at this moment in time, Lopez in second, Carr in first, but Lopez is going to be gaining on him quite rapidly on those fresh tyres. He already has the fastest lap in this race. We're looking on board with Miguel Gal, stuck behind Griffiths, but not for much longer. Franco Gamba, meanwhile, trying to get past Joseph Willows in the McLaren. He needs to get past him ASAP because Roque is still there, and he will certainly take advantage of that if Gamba cannot get through here. So they're coming onto the front straight, and he's not quite in Willows' slipstream here, but I think Roque actually might even be close enough to get to Gamba here. You can see how much he's gaining, but I think it'll be a bit too late to make a move unless Roque does a Daniel Ricciardo-esque move, goes extremely late on the brakes, but it doesn't happen. So as they're coming off the S's now, and so Roque in the slipstream of Gamba, but Gamba himself in the slipstream of Willows, and he's now going to try and make a move on the inside, and Roque going to try and sneak up around the outside of Gamba and make the move into turn 4, but Gamba is having none of that, and Roque has to concede back the place there. And you don't really see many moves around the outside of turn 4 there, and it's not going to happen this time around. So Roque's going to have to think outside the box, so he's going to have to try it on the front straight preferably, if he wants to make this move past Gamba. But again, Willows is trying to hold him off because he's on a different strategy as well. So Gamba now once again going to try on Willows, but meanwhile Roque actually has lost time and is now might be even taken by Renault here. Now Gamba on the inside of Willows, and does he make it stick this time around? And the answer is yes, finally. And Roque meanwhile getting attacked from the Renault behind, although hang on a second, Willows is trying to get the position back here on the inside, and is he going to get the position back from Gamba? Will Gamba hold it? The answer is, I think Gamba just about gets it, and he does. Well, that was a great battle between Gamba and Willows there, and Willows unfortunately had to relinquish the position. It was bound to happen, but fair play for the fight that he put in there. Meanwhile, Armakar is in for his second stop of the race on lap 30, so he's gone quite far in this stint. It's going to be a novice 2-stopper for him, and we'll see how far he'll go. So he'll go until at least probably lap 50, till probably at least maybe lap 51, 52. He'll pit once more at the end of the race. So he's going to come out down in P. Of course, he is behind Miguel Gal as well, I might add. So he's well behind Gal, so we'll see if he can catch up to him and overtake him on the circuit. So he comes out of the pits, and he's going to kind of looks like in P4. Now, meanwhile, Evan Byrne now passing the McLaren of Joseph Willows on the inside. Can he do it? And the answer is no. And I was about to say Roque had overtaken him, but in fact Roque hasn't overtaken, I'm pretty sure, and has gone into the pits for another stop. Of course, he's on the 3-stop strategy right now. So Byrne now trying to make a move on the inside of Willows, but now De Rosser is there. So Byrne really stuck in a McLaren sandwich, and that is the last sandwich he wants to be in. Yeah, I mean, the only thing worse would be a Fraser sandwich, and you really don't want that. So Roque meanwhile is coming out of the pits. It looks like in P14. Is he going to come out ahead of the Alfa Romeo there? It could be close, but I think Derry is just going to edge ahead, which he does. Where it comes out behind, would have preferred to have been ahead, but he comes out ahead of the Haas. I think that Dudu Kirby was holding him up a bit earlier in the race, so be glad, I suppose, that he's not necessarily stuck behind him. So now, meanwhile, looking at Evan Byrne once again going to try on the inside of Willows. Willows once again putting up a valiant defence. Byrne on the inside, can he make it stick? And the answer is no, he can't. Willows still holding the position, and De Rosser behind will be wanting to try and get through both of these guys ASAP, or Willows at least is trying to help him. Meanwhile, Chatfield, I don't know if he was just overtaken there by Jake Galloway. Meanwhile, Miguel Gal in for another stop for Red Bull. And so as we're looking at him coming out of the pits, and so he's actually going to be behind. Oh, initially he's going to be behind this gaggle of cars. So Willows could be playing with Gal as well at this point, with how the race is going to go. Carl will be pretty happy with this if Gal gets held up, but nonetheless he comes out just ahead, Gal, of the team who'll be joining next season. Actually, he'll be joining AlphaTauri in a move that again has surprised many, considering how well he had done for Red Bull this season. But he's moving on to pastures new. So now Lopez, who's lapping the Alfa Romeo here, as he's coming off the S's now. Got a comfortable lead over Carl, once again about 18 seconds. car just doesn't seem to have any answer to him right now. So he needs to hope for a little bit of luck or something else to happen. As meanwhile, Roland Moichin, who I believe actually is on the one side, I don't think he's pitted actually already. And meanwhile, Daniel Fraser trying to get past David Kupok in the battle for 18th. And again, Kupok is having a very, very poor race right to the back of the field. And I'm pretty sure he's one of the ones that had a lot of fuel in his car. But some of them have been able to make it work. Willows has managed to make it work. And Moichin himself has also managed to make it work. And of course, Kupok hasn't managed to make it work. And of course, Martinez, although he pitted, of course, earlier on for that wing change, he certainly has not managed to make it work on the amount of fuel. And oh no, would you believe it? And Jamie Griffiths is out of the race. The car lets him down yet again. He was having a really promising race, and he was certainly in for a shout of points, and he's going to be going home with nothing today. But for Jamie Griffiths, he will be, of course, on the grid for next season for Williams, and he'll be very, very happy to compete in another season. Again, his highlight of his season. And oh, there's another car out. I just saw there. I think that was an Alfa Romeo who was out at the same time there. I'm not sure which driver that was, but there's an Alfa Romeo that's also retired on the same lap. So we've got two cars retiring on the same lap, not quite at the same corner, but nonetheless, Griffiths is out, and we've got an Alfa Romeo that is out as well. So yellow flags flying all over the shop. Fraser, meanwhile, trying to get back past David Kupok once again. So we're going to have a look at the replay, and it was Gabriel Gomez who was the one who had the engine failure. He was having, again, pretty bad race. He wasn't really going to get anywhere, so I don't think it's too much of a loss. And unfortunately, and of course, in his final top-tier race for now, he won't be on the grid for next season. And sadly, of course, in front of the Brazilian crowd, who are not going to be happy about this. And this was, of course, Jamie Griffiths, who was running behind Jake Galloway. Again, having a great race, was certainly going to be in with a shout of points, and there was an oil leak that has caused his retirement, and he'll be very, very disappointed with that, because, well, again, it could have been another points finish for Griffiths. But from this season, he'll still be relatively happy with how it went. Again, to get a podium for Williams in that crazy Malaysia race was, again, will forever live in his memory. Meanwhile, two McLarens battling yet again. This is De Rossa on the inside of Joseph Willis. This is the battle for P5, and De Rossa finally makes his way through. Maybe let through there, and of course now crucially here is Nicholas Gow, who is stuck behind Willis, who still has got a few more laps until he goes into the pits. So Willis is still going to be playing around with all the field here. So Moichin has come out behind Nicholas Gow, but crucially he is going to be going to the end, so he is doing the one stop, and we'll see if that will work out for him or not. Meanwhile, Carr, who I think has just lapped, that must be the manner of Martinez, and it is, and he is so far behind. He still hasn't even passed Gabriel Gomez yet. Well, he's actually about to do so now, because this is about the part where Gomez actually retired yet. So that is how far behind Martinez is through the rest of the field at the moment. Lopez nearly a pit stop ahead of Carr at the front of the field right now. But meanwhile, Gal, who will be wanting to get through past the McLaren of Willows as soon as possible, will not be wanting to be stuck behind this McLaren much longer. And because, of course, Renault Moichin, who's just come out of the pits, may be closing him down as well. Although, crucially, of course, Gal will be pitting once more before the end, and Moichin does not. But, of course, fresh tyres are still vitally important. I mean, the one stop here is possible, but can you make it work is another question. But now Gal on the inside of Willows. This should be the move. Is it? Yes? No? No, it's not. Although Willows has gone very deep, so this might be the move. And it is, finally. So Gal now passing Willows. And meanwhile, there was a battle behind as Moichin has just managed to sneak past Chris Chatfield, the soon-to-be Ferrari driver. Meanwhile, George Roke is going past Laura Chung. This is for 11th position. Now 10th position because Galloway has just gone into the pits. And he does make it through past the Ferrari there. And so there we go. And there's Lopez, actually. He's close to lapping these guys. Jake Galloway, of course, in the pits. And now we're looking at the Racing Point. I nearly called them Force India. I nearly did. Although I just technically said it. But anyway, Moichin on the inside of the McLaren of Willows. And he does make it through up into 6th place. Willows, again, still having a solid stint. And, of course, he's going a bit less than some of the one-stoppers so far. So he's making it work, Willows. He's definitely in with a shout of points so far when he goes into the pits. Now this is Moichin now going past, having gone past one McLaren. He's now going past the other. Now on the inside of De Rossa, although can he stretch it late on the brakes? He's trying. He's going to have a go. And I think he might have the run off the corner because De Rossa went slightly wide there. And Moichin has got the run off the corner and he's on the inside. Although De Rossa is going to try and keep it on the inside here, but I think Moichin will have the run round the outside of the corner and will keep the position, and the answer is yes, he does. Moichin does manage to make it through up now into the top 5, Now at least he's got some clear air. Now he just has to preserve those tyres to the end. And meanwhile, Joseph Williams finally comes in for his first and only stop of the race. It has been a longer stint, but again, not a bad one, you could say. He certainly kept up pace with the field on those on that amount of fuel and those tyres. So he's done a pretty good job of preserving them. And so he comes in the pits, of course, he will be going to the end. And we'll see now what the true pace of Williams is with fresh tyres and with less fuel than he's ever had in this race. Although it's a bit of a slow stop, though. And he'll have to make his way through some cars, although a lot of cars in front of him will be pitting again before the end. So he comes out, looks like, in P13 behind Dudu Kirby. But he can certainly make progress, that's for sure. Meanwhile, there's the two AlphaTauris. You would think battling for position, but no, that Chatfield has lapped his teammate Cupok. That's how slow Cupok has been this race. And, oh no, just as we were saying, Willis could have been on for a good result. He is now going to be getting nothing from this race. So his winning streak, by the way, that has lasted for so long is now coming to an end. It's now just the podium streak. Again, what could have been if he had he was coming close to winning the race in Mexico, and what could have been in Monza as well, where he was leading for the first half of the race, and unfortunately his tyres disintegrated in the second half, so he finished very lonely. I think it was P5 or P6, or so. He didn't finish on the podium anyway. But unfortunately for Joseph Williams, his winning streak is over. It's now down to a podium streak, and he is going to be out of the Brazilian Grand Prix. And you really got a feel for him. Did so well on that stint, and was now really looking forward to getting the hammer down. And yeah, and the only hammer that came down was the hammer on his engine that has now broken it. So he is out of the Brazilian Grand Prix, as he's going to pull off to the side of the circuit at turn 1, exactly the same place that, of course, Jamie Griffiths did. And using Lenovo, he'll be using one of those computers to get himself a flight back home after this one. The gap, Lopez to Carr out front, down to 16 seconds. I think that's obviously Carr gaining on Lopez's tyres once we're going off a bit. But because the gap's so big, I don't know if it's going to have that much of an impact. But of course, Willows is out of the race and he is done. Meanwhile, this is Jake Galloway trying to go past Dudu Kirby as they're coming down the front straight here. Dudu Kirby, of course, in his final ever OC race, in his first and only OC season, still has not got any points this season. And again, it'll still feel very harsh, very sad about how harsh it was in Spa. That, of course, he was so close to getting points, but he retired with a couple of laps to go, but hadn't quite done 90% of the race distance and couldn't be classified. And he just needed to go, I don't know if it was just a few more corners, and he would have been classified and he would have got points, and he still could be on for some if there's many more retirements before the end of this race, so you never know what could happen. But meanwhile, Almacar has come out of the pits now into third position. Of course, he'll be pitting, he will be going to the end. Frank Agawa, meanwhile, has pitted, and he himself will be going to the end too, as he comes out of the pits. And so as he's coming through the pit exit there. And meanwhile, De Rossa, who has had a pretty good race. I mean, both McLarens have had good races, of course. He is now the only one left because of Willis' retirement. So as he comes in, changes all four tyres. And yep, after Willis' retirement, as I said, he's the only McLaren left in this race, so we'll hope to get some solid points for them. So as he comes now out of the pit exit, and let's see where he comes out in the order. So he's just outside of the points, but again, a lot of the drivers in front of him will be pitting once more before the end, and he comes out crucially ahead of Martinez, who, by the way, is still in this race somehow. And now, meanwhile, this is the battle for second place. This is Gao getting overtaken by Carr, who himself is going to the end. So Carr now passing Gao. So Carr clearly is a much quicker car than Gao. And yep, he's through up into second position, and Gao, who himself is pitting in a few laps time, so I don't see Gao being able to catch Carr at the end. So it looks like at this moment in time it's going to finish exactly as it may do in the championship, because as things stand, Franco Lopez is going to be a double world champion. Carr is going to be second in the championship, and Gao is going to be third in the championship. That is how it looks like it is going to end. Now, meanwhile, this is De Rossa going past the Renault of Jake Galloway into the first corner. This is for 9th position. As the car just went into the pit, so that is why they just moved up there. So another movement being made. So as we're looking at Galloway, who's down to 10th position, he is going to the end, and it was Chris Chatfield, the one who just gone into the pits. But at the moment, Gal running in third. He's going to be pitting, I think, next lap. Or, well, if not next lap, certainly the lap after. But if he wants to try and catch Carr, if he even has any faint chance of catching Carr, he really needs to pit kind of now. But as we look through the order at this moment in time, Martinez, by the way, who's 3 laps down, he really is that far off the pace. It's been, again, a very, very torrid race for him. And, well, after he obviously got involved at the start and got damage and he had to pit, I mean, granted he was on a lot of fuel, but still, it's just not really an acceptable pace to do in an F1OC race. But yeah, meanwhile we're looking at Roberto Gamba, who is coming into pits for his final stop of the Grand Prix. So, and of course, it'll be his final ever stop in a Grand Prix, of course, as he's retiring at the end of the season. So sad times, we are going to lose one of the Gambas, but we'll still have Franco Gamba at least. So anyway, he is in the pits, Roberto Gamba, for his final stop.
Okay, no
He'll be going to the end. Simple as that. And yep, that's 5.6 seconds, that stop for the Ferrari. And so he's going to come out, looks like he's outside of the points at this moment in time, but I think he has the chance to get it back later on. Meanwhile, Laura Chung trying to go past the Haas here, and oh! Wow, Chung having to take avoiding action there to avoid going into the back of Daniel Fraser. Now that could have gone horribly wrong. Fortunately, no damage done, but that's lost Chung an absolute chunk of time, as Roberto Gamba has come out ahead of those two. But again, that could have gone horribly wrong for him. As we're looking now at Lopez at the moment, still in the lead. George Roque in the Racing Point, set to come into the pits for his final stop of the race. He's running at the moment in 6th position. He's started high up in the order, actually. Started in 4th position, did Roque, but hasn't really shown a lot of pace this race. I mean, his teammate Roland Moichin is set to finish well ahead of him, and he's done a bit of performance on the 1-stop, so the 3-stop hasn't... I don't think the 3-stop was really viable for this race. The 2-stop is definitely the better one, or the 1-stop if you can make it work, which a number of people again have managed to.
No pressure.
But George Roque comes into the pits and will change on to fresh tyres for the final time, and he is going to come out of the pits down, it looks like, in 10th position, so quite far down really for George Roque. Not something that he would like. So as he comes out of the pits, and he will come out in 10th position, as meanwhile Miklas Gau now comes in for his final stop of the race with just 13 laps to go. And at this moment in time, actually, Roland Moichin on the 1-stop is set to take 3rd position away from him. But the question is, can Gau catch him before the end of the race? So Moichin has just gone past him, or went past him a few seconds ago. And Gau will be on fresh tyres, so, I mean, it's not out of the question that Gau will catch him. But of course, actually, Gau will have to, overtake his teammate Franco Gamba. I couldn't quite see if Gamba has to pit or not. But if Gamba doesn't have to pit, then Gau might actually have to do 2 overtakes. And meanwhile, Franco Lopez coming into the pits for his final stop of the race. Armar Carr over 30 seconds off, so yeah, I don't think Carr is going to have any answer to Franco Lopez. It's looking closer and closer like it is his day. So he changes all 4 tyres for the final time, and I believe he's also the fastest car. Look at that, quick stop as well, 4.9 seconds, very quick. As Evan Byrne now in the pits for his final stop of the race for Renault. And so he changes all 4 tyres, so Roque will be ahead of him in the order. So Byrne will be trying to go after and getting some more points. Meanwhile, Dudu Kirby in a battle with his teammate Daniel Fraser. Fraser, who has managed to stay in the Haas seat for next season, and everyone generally thought that he was going to go, but he managed to keep himself in, and people really were suspecting that he would lose that seat, but he didn't. So Fraser will be very happy that he will be on the grid next season, and will hopefully be able to improve himself better in, well, hopefully a better car, of course. And Laura Chung is in the pits, and not for a pit stop, it was a throttle problem for Laura Chung. So a disappointing end to the season for her. Of course, she'll be going to the Lamborghini team. So as we're looking on board with Chung, and fortunately she was just, looks like, about to go past the pits, and then that's where the problem occurred. So very lucky the timing there for Laura Chung to be able to pit there. As meanwhile we're looking on board with her trying to overtake the incredibly slow moving AlphaTauri of David Kupok, and she does go through up into 40 positions. Meanwhile Roque going around the outside there of the Manor of Rosetta Martinez, and now Chatfield attacking Jake Galloway. This is for P7 as they're coming up towards the first corner. And is Chatfield through? The answer is maybe not, but unless the Renault goes wide, which he goes extremely wide, Galloway, and now Chatfield says thank you very much and takes 7th place away from Jake Galloway there, so good job. And can Galloway actually make it back? He's just about in the slipstream of Chatfield, but I think the corner is coming up way too quickly, and it is, so there we go. Now meanwhile, this is Franco. This actually is the battle for P3, so Gamba has managed to catch up to Moichin, so the answer was no, he did not have to pit again. So Miklas Gal, if he wants to get a podium, has to overtake both Gamba and Moichin, and it will be Moichin he has to overtake first, as Gamba takes third place away from Moichin. So it was unlucky for Moichin, but his tyres definitely now hanging off a cliff. They're on the cliff edge, and so I don't think he's going to struggle to hold on once again for P4 possibly. Meanwhile, this is Evan Byrne attacking his teammate Jake Galloway. This is for ninth position. Byrne breaks very late and goes past his teammate there, moves up into ninth. And again, it's been a tough season for Byrne, but at least he'll get some more points on the board in his final race. Meanwhile, looking at Miklas Gal, who's now right behind Moichin. This is the battle for P4, the two Hungarians battling each other. Moichin's just got no answer, and Gal says thank you very much and takes the place away. I mean, probably Moichin's tyres feel like they're probably running on sand, though, and just has no grip whatsoever. Probably getting dug in as we look at De Rossa. Oh no, De Rossa yet again, and De Rossa. And oh, you really got to feel for him. I mean, his nickname this season has been, well, over the years has been D Unlucky, and unfortunately he is unlucky today, as his car breaks down on him with just 2 laps to go, and so it's going to be no points for McLaren in this race, and yeah, not a good ending to the season for them. But of course, we saw Gal make him move up past Moichin for P4. And there's going to be many more movements throughout the order. So, of course, yeah, Byrne is up into 8th, Galloway 9th, Roberto Gamba now up into the points as well. But you really got to feel for De Rossa, and so he's going to get no points from this race. It was a suspension failure, and he was running in a very comfortable P6. And I don't know what the gap was to Moichin, actually. I'm not sure. But anyway, you can see clearly which wheel it was. It was the rear left that came away from the car then. So that is his race over on lap 69, and again, you've got to feel for De Rossa. Has had a number of retirements late on in races this season, and this is another one in the final race of the season. So he is out. So there we are. That is his race over. But meanwhile, the final lap of the 2020 GP4 Offline Championship season, and the final lap of the current era of GP4 Racing, and it looks like it is going to be Franco Lopez, who is set to become a 2-time champion. It always looked to be going Lopez's way, to be honest, because I mean the amount of consistency he had in the first half of the season, it was constant thirds and seconds, and then it came to when he had a couple of retirements, and everything, it just looked like it was slipping away from him, it did. But fortunately Lopez, he has dominated this race, and to be honest, he has thoroughly deserved it. Car has had some bad luck throughout the season, but I think Lopez has edged it this year, and he is set to become a double world champion. Of course, he won last season. And Franco Lopez, it looked like the title was slipping away from him. Car and Gal were catching up to him, but to no avail. And Franco Lopez coming down the front straight for the final time, and he is a double OC champion. He wins the 2020 GP4 Offline Championship, the end of an era, and he is a double champion. He is the number one. Very well deserved, and Lopez will be absolutely delighted with that. He is the champion, and Carr will come up a valiant second position. He's tried everything he can this season, and just not quite enough. And yeah, Gal, of course, will finish third in the championship as well. But Franco Lopez, if I could clap, I would. But of course, my current hand is in in a splint at the moment. My left hand is in a splint, so I can't clap. So I'm quite gutted. But well done to Franco Lopez on becoming the 2020 GP4 Offline Champion. So Carl will come across the line second, looking through the rest of the points order. So Roberto Gamba actually got past Galloway as well before the end. But looking through the rest of the order, so Frank Gal will take the final spot on the podium. Gal very close to him at the end, another lap, and Gal probably would have had him there. Moichin put in a valiant effort in P5. Again, been a good season for him and for Racing Point. Looking at Laura Chung, unfortunately had that car failure right towards the end of the race, but Chatfield got 6th, Rowe got 7th, Byrne 8th, Roberto Gamba 9th, and Galloway in 10th rank. Daniel Fraser, the last car to come across the line there. But Franco Lopez is your 2020 OC champion. Here are the full race results. So Franco Lopez winning by 20 seconds ahead of Almar Carr in 2nd, Franco Gamba 3rd, Miklas Gal 4th, Roland Moichin 5th, Chris Chatfield 6th, George Rowe 7th, Evan Byrne 8th, Roberto Gamba 9th, Jake Galloway 10th, and Dudu Kirby 1 place away from getting a point in his final OC race. Got a feel for him. Franco Lopez also setting the fastest lap as well, getting that extra point on the board to make things even more sweeter. Andrea Federi 12th, Laura Chung 13th, Daniel Fraser 14th, David Dupont 15th, Roberto Martin is 16th, and Carosa De Rossa, of course, still classified despite that failure late on, with Joseph Willows, Jamie Griffiths, Gabriel Gomez, Felix Sontag, and Amelia Wilson not finishing this race. So now, we are going to see the final driver standings, and here we go. Franco Lopez winning the championship by 25 points ahead of Almacar in second, and Gao 22 points behind in third, Frank Gamma 4th, George Hope 5th, Roland Moitin 6th, Jake Galloway 7th, De Rossa 8th, Joseph Willis 9th, and David Cupel completing the top 10 with 65 points. Berta Gamba 11th with 62, as I'm looking for the rest of the order. Chris Chapman moves up to 12th on the last race of the season, moves ahead of Byrne and Laura Chung. Andrea Federi 15th, Gabriel Gomez 16th, David Gomez 17th, Felix Sontag 18th, Emilio Wilson 19th, Daniel Fraser 20th, Rosetta Martinez and Tudu Kirby, the only 2 drivers this season who did not score a single point. So that's the final drivers standing. And in constructors, it was Mercedes who won comfortably ahead of Red Bull 2nd, Racing Point 3rd, Renault in 4th, McLaren in 5th, and AlphaTauri pipping Ferrari to 6th on the final race of the season by 6 points, with Alfa Romeo 8th, Williams 9th, Manor 10th, and Haas in 11th. And there we go. The season is over, and of course Franco Lopez wins the driver of the day. No surprise for a dominant performance. But there we are. That is the season over and another era over. So I appreciate everyone for watching what has been yet again a fantastic season. Thanks for watching, everybody, and don't forget to, as usual, give the video a like, join our Discord, check out Wikia. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you in 2021 for the start of the fantasy era. I've been your OC commentator, George Rook, and we will see you for the start of a new era. Goodbye.
the sky and saw the sun, and the way that gravity pulls on everyone, baby. It's been a long time waiting, such a long time, and I can't stop smiling. No, I can't stop now. Do you hear my heart beating? Can you hear that sound? 'Cause I can't help crying, and I won't look down. And then I looked up at the sun, and I could see all the way that gravity turns on you and me. And then I looked up at the sun and saw